Happy Monday. Thank you for taking the time to be here with Fresh Squeeze, especially coming off of the 4th of July holiday weekend. But we're back at it, and today we're going to talk about a concept called the summer sweater and how that might relate to making some financial decisions. So just for a little background, a few weeks ago, I traveled a short distance to spend some time with my sister-in-law and her family, and late May day. So typically late May, expecting some pleasant weather, but we had an unseasonably chilly start to summer here in the western part of Pennsylvania. So that evening, the only space at the restaurant we were meeting at was outside. So we were not well prepared because we weren't really expecting to be outside. Luckily, my lovely sister-in-law lives pretty close to the location, and she kindly went back to her home and gathered as many blankets as she could. I also have another lovely sister-in-law who purchased me a winter hat and gloves and specifically said to leave them in my car for an emergency. And I listened to her, and this was such an emergency because I was very cold, eating my pizza and listening to live music. So unseasonably chilly. A few weeks after that lovely gathering, maybe like 2, I started to see ads in my Instagram feed for the summer sweater. I reflected on it for a little bit, initially thinking I have never worn a sweater in summer, like traveling lots of places, north, south, Europe, Asia, never a summer sweater in my entire life. But recalling that I had been so chilly and maybe we were gonna have an unseasonably cooler summer, I started seriously contemplating, would I find value with a summer sweater? So luckily, my point of entry was pretty low. My risk that I was assessing, so was the price of the sweater. It was under $50, cute sweater, seemed like a reasonable entry point. But the other consideration is I had just done an epic clean out of my home, preparing for yard sale and donations and selling some things and realizing we have a lot of stuff. But even though I had a really strong inclination that a summer sweater was not going to be something that I would utilize on a regular basis, I took the plunge and purchased a summer sweater. So fast forward about 2 weeks, as you might imagine, the sweater has arrived. I'm wearing it. It's my first time. But it is 90 degrees and sunny here today. So even this morning, low of 77, not what I would consider sweater weather. The cool end temperature this evening, also 80 by the time I go to bed, maybe 77 again, also still not sweater weather. And I was reflecting on how sometimes we see things and hear things that sound like a good idea. We maybe even have a little bit of experience, like giving us just a small entry point into considering doing something. That risk is a big component. So again, the price of the sweater. If I keep it on all day, I may also have the price of my electric bill for needing to keep the temperature cooler than I normally would if I took the sweater off. So needless to say, on a 90-degree day in southwestern Pennsylvania, I am not going to be wearing this sweater. But it does reflect how sometimes we do hear things that other people are doing. This is a great investment. I'm able to make this purchase. I'm considering doing this. And sometimes we know something does not really fit our objective, our goals, our mindset, but we're still tempted because we see it and we hear it and we contemplate it and we open that window. So always going back to like, what's the risk of the point of entry? Like, is it worth trying this out and seeing how it goes? Or is the risk uncomfortable and not really worth it? Luckily, I think this Black sweater can be easily worn in October and maybe next April, May again. But alas, the concept of a summer sweater is not really a thing, and I'm okay with that. But when there are bigger stakes, it is really important to think through and trust our gut and know when we have a plan in place and where something fits into it, and to be open to the idea of saying no. We did a whole video about the power of no, but sometimes with ourselves, it's really hard to not do something as well. But it's okay for the decision to be, that's not really going to be beneficial to me, or I really can't see how this is going to be utilized. So today's Fresh Squeezed is make sure you carefully consider your summer sweaters and whether they have a utility for you, when and how you need it, and stay true to what you know about yourself and about what you want to accomplish. So have a great Monday, and thanks for being here. Stay cool.